course, our viewers on YouTube and Twitch, youtube.com/ESPN1320, twitch.tv/ESPN1320, and a salute and good morning to everybody in the chatty house. We got on a little late today, so we didn't get to say good morning to everybody in the chatty house.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll get to see some people out at the game tonight at Golden One Center, because we got Kings Mavs. Loser goes home. Winner plays the Grizzlies in Memphis on Friday.
Yeah, this is for all the marbles. Like the whole
it all
ball
comes
of wax.
down to this.
It all comes down to this.
Oh, boy.
You know what, though? Like, look, this is exciting. I think
It
when you look at what the play-in tournament has done for the NBA, I think it's absolutely worked out brilliantly.
Mhm.
I think the best team in the moment does get through.
Mhm.
And I think that's what will prove out. Like, as of right now, if the Kings can somehow beat Dallas
Mhm.
and then they get Memphis on Friday, the better team is the Sacramento Kings at this point. The Grizzlies are in a death spiral. They have been for a while. John Morant just got hurt. So you have all of these things playing towards it. And you know what? If I'm looking at the playoffs, I want to see the best teams, the teams that are there and are the best teams in the moment, not the best teams in December or the best teams in February or March. It's the best teams going into the final, segment of the season. And while the Kings haven't been great, they have been better than these other teams that are around them. And so I'm intrigued to see how it all plays out.
I think we saw yesterday, and Kirk Henderson from Mavs Moneyball he's covered the Mavs for a long time, does such a great job. He's going to join us at 11:20. I have so many questions to ask Kirk Henderson, who covers the Mavs.
Yeah.
I want to talk basketball for sure and play in, but I got to talk about the Nico Harrison Invitational yesterday. I got to figure out how he's doing personally with the Luka stuff. I legitimately, I don't do this flippantly. Like I'm not kidding. I genuinely, it's insane. And I have not gotten that perspective yet. We have not gotten that perspective yet. So Kirk Henderson from Mavs Moneyball going to join us at 11:20. You talk about the best teams winning.
Mm-hmm.
I think exactly what you said bared itself out last night.
Oh yeah, totally.
Orlando beat the Hawks by 25 points, but they jumped out to an early lead. The Hawks cut it, I believe, to single digits in the second half, made it interesting. And then Orlando was just a little more talented, a little healthier, and they eventually pulled away and won that game. They go on to face the Celtics in the first round in the 2-7 matchup. And then you have Warriors-Grizzlies. The Warriors are a little better than the Grizzlies right now, and that bared itself out. They win that game by 5. So that avoids the Kings-Warriors battle for the 8th seed, which everybody was buckled up for.
I did not want to see that again.
No, I was over it.
Yeah, I've been over it for so long. I don't need year 3
of that.
Yeah, and I mean, the first year, the problem was they had played each other so many times down the stretch.
Yeah.
And then it was just so many games. It was like the two teams had played like 9 of the previous 13 games once you got through training camp, and they played them like 3 times in the first 2 weeks of the season. Like, what is happening?
It was crazy.
Yeah.
But that the build up to that series made the 7 games feel like 40.
Oh yeah.
That was the longest 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah, I aged.
Just brutal, right? And not even just with the basketball. The basketball was really good, but just the discourse on the internet and on the radio and in the media, it was nuts. And then last year, both teams, disappointing years. The Kings were better last year. They showed it in the 9-10 matchup. They dispatched the Warriors, go on to face the Clippers, and the Pelicans. It's kind of like, all right, that I'm over it now. And then it looked like we were just barreling toward it again this year. So I'm glad we avoided that. The bigger news and I want to talk about that game a little bit, but for the Kings specifically, if they move on with a win tonight, you mentioned that jaw injury. That did not look good. He rolled his ankle. We never got a full replay. I couldn't tell if he stepped on Buddy Hield's foot or fell just short of it because the camera cut off the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
Very odd. But anyways, rolled the heck out of his ankle.
Yeah.
Did not look good.
That's like a high ankle sprain. That's like he went toe first,
right?
Rolled up and over.
Yeah.
Those hurt.
Yeah. And you could tell it wasn't because there's the various athlete pained expression. And there's a really discernible difference from that person being like, I'm worried about the pain I'm in versus I know I can't play and I'm pissed that I'm not going to be able to get back on the court.
Yeah.
And Ja last night looked genuinely worried that when he went to take his free throw because if you get hurt and you get removed from the game and you don't take your free throw after you get fouled,
you can't return. Yep.
So he limps onto the floor, didn't even tie his shoe. Limped onto the floor, hit his free throw, which is gangster, and then they foul and he gets checked out. I was shocked that he came back in after that because he was not moving well. I don't think he was helpful for them.
No, I mean, even the last play where they get the 5-second call, he just stood there. Like, I think mentally he just wasn't sharp because he was in a lot of pain.
Yes.
And
so.
it was a mess. And so I think he did the best he could to try to be active and try to, fight through it. But I don't know what he looks like 2 days later.
Yeah.
And a flight. They went back to Memphis, and like no matter what, they were flying. And so what is that ankle going to look like a couple of days later? Yeah, it's probably not good. And
I can't imagine it is.
Yeah, that's always a worry with him too.
And even if he does play, there's no way he's going to be anything close to 100%.
Yeah, not at all. Like, no,
not in 3 days.
His lateral quickness will definitely be hampered. And when you're talking about a guy who thrives on athleticism and quickness, that's a bad one.
Yeah, man. And you saw a couple of moments last night where he dug deep and got into the paint and got a little shot up, but he was not going to the rim with the same force. He was not getting side to side with the same force. They were doing everything they could defensively to make sure that nobody was getting switched onto him.
Yeah.
They were sending doubles. They're fighting over screens. They're not switching anything. It was protect Ja at all costs. And so, like I said, he could every once in a while dig deep and find his way into the paint and hit a shot. But Ja's superpower is being able to do that for 40 minutes.
Yep.
And when he can do that half a dozen times through 4 quarters, like, what's he doing then?
Well, and we're talking, again, 2 days later, if that thing's the size of a softball, it swells. There's nothing you can do.
No,
like the human body does what it's going to do, and it's trying to protect itself.
Yep.
And I think we're all kind of intrigued to see what he will look like. And hey, look, it might not matter to Kings fans because the Kings have a game tonight that they've got to get through. And but the Ja Morant injury is looming large for the next, and the fact that team has not played well. I mean, what we saw from the Warriors last night is what we saw from the Warriors the entire season. They were up 20. I sent you to up. Bring on the Grizz.
But the Steph 4-point play that put him up 20 or 21 or whatever it was felt like, okay, they might roll.
Yep.
But I told you, like, not quite, because this team is generational at smoking leads.
Yep.
And then it gets down to 15. Oh, now it's down to 12. Oh, now it's down to 9. Oh, now it's down to 4. It's just, like you said, it went exactly how every Warriors game has gone this year. And the difference is, can they execute a couple of times down the stretch and the other team doesn't?
Yeah.
And that's what it came down to.
Well, I think what it really came down to for me was that they had 2 great players rolling.
Yes.
At one time.
Yes.
And so when you have Steph, that you're in any game. When you had Jimmy Butler playing at playoff Jimmy level.
Yeah.
But the problem is that everyone else was bad or marginal or marginalized by what was happening with the other 2 players. So, I mean, they only had 2 other players in double figures, Quentin Post and Gary Payton the second.
Yeah, he had a nice game.
Yeah, he had a nice game. He had a couple of threes. I think he had 3 threes. There's even one he passed up on late. It's like,
2.
Man, 2? Okay. It's like, hey, you're shooting well tonight. Why'd you
take that shot?
Yeah, you got to take that shot.
That's the issue with Golden State moving forward, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on them, but there are just points in the game where their lineups have no spacing. That's a huge problem for them, right? It's Jimmy Butler, who nobody's scared of shooting threes. It's Draymond Green, who's nobody's scared of shooting threes. This is not to say they can't, but teams aren't going to guard them. Teams aren't going to guard them the way they guard Steph, right? They're not going to warp their defense to make sure that. And then they've got GP2 closing games. He's not somebody anybody's really scared of shooting threes. So they run into this problem where, man, if Moses Moody is 1 for 4 and Draymond Green's 0 for 3 and Brandon Pajemski was abominable last night. He was 1 for 5 from 3, 1 for 7 from the field. If you're not getting high-end production from any of those guys, you got a pretty significant problem. Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry scored 75 points last night, and they still needed to be dragged across the finish line.
There was a play late, though, that just showed you the brilliance of Steve Kerr's offense and what he's doing. Steph came out to set a screen for Jimmy Butler. He sets a screen. Jimmy Butler fires it to Draymond in the corner, and coming off the screen, Steph like roped around. Draymond hits him. Draymond screens off his man, and there's Steph in the corner for a wide open look.
Crazy.
Just absolutely wild that guy could ever get wide open. But then you see the brilliance of their offense and the brilliance of players who have played together for a long time and can sense a moment and know exactly what to run against a team. And just like, you can't get a better look than that.
It's the value of ball movement, man. We talk about it with the Kings all the time.
Yeah.
There's a reason that the best offenses are ones that are very, very democratic in the way they move the basketball.
Yep. Everybody touches the ball. Sharing is caring.
Yep.
That's how you keep everyone involved.
Steph had the quietest 37 last night.
Yeah.
When he had his couple of free throws to get to 35, I think. Like, he has 35. If you had just said, hey, don't look, how many does he have tonight? I'd be like 22, 23.
Well, he was around that. Then he hit the back-to-back threes.
Yeah. The double pump fake on Scottie Pippen Jr. was nasty.
Or the 5 pump
fakes. Scottie Pippen Jr. was really good last night, by the way.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I was really impressed.
He's you know what? They have a way of developing players and bringing in players that just play a certain way. We talked about it, like the Taylor Jenkins way. But like John Conchard does so many things that are just like
just the little stuff.
He does all of the little things every single time you play against him. I mean, just comes up big all the time. And it's that mentality that they have that you need to bottle and figure out how to put that into what you do. And I asked Jake LaRavia about it, and he said, well, part of it is that they go find those guys in the draft. That's who they look for.
Yeah.
But also part of it is just that's a culture. If you're going to play, you're going to do all the little things. You're going to hustle. You're going to dive on the floor. And I appreciate this style of play.
I do too. Desmond Bane was awesome last night too. It felt like he had 50 points. He was really good. I still can't stand watching Jaren Jackson though. His game is just not. I understand he's a good player. His game is so not aesthetically pleasing to me. I can't stand watching him move, man.
He just looks like a guy who does not work out.
I saw somebody say that his jump shot looks like a full court heave.
Yes, every time.
And that is spot on. That is so spot on. I get so mad when his 3-pointers go in.
I would just like run at his feet. Not put your foot down so he thinks that you're gonna but put the fear of that in his head.
Yeah.
Because he just like totally lunges forward every single time.
Yeah. His feet are his landing zone's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Really good game. Very enjoyable. I do just real quick. I just want to point this out. I thought the entire game, Golden State got a very favorable whistle. And I shouldn't say it was definitely like, man, they've gotten more calls than they haven't.
Yeah. The Jimmy Butler phantom call.
Come on, man.
That was horrible.
So and as we're watching that game, it's like, dude, they're getting a great whistle and they're still not able to put this game away. Man, this is a bad sign, right? But that stretch at the end, so that was already bad. Then you had the stretch at the end where Steph sets a screen for Jimmy Butler. And instead of switching the screen, instead of doing anything, Desmond Bane just throws Steph on the ground.
Yeah.
No call. Butler going to throw it back to Steph as the play is designed. It gets stolen by Scottie Pippen Jr. Scottie Pippen Jr. goes down. Clean block by Brandon Pajemski. Foul.
Yeah, that was wild.
Insane. But I get why it gets called in the moment. I get it. But not a good call. And then you had the Kevon Looney one, which you thought was a foul.
I did. I thought he got the inside of his arm, which made
Zach talking about the play where Zach Edey's going to get the ball, and then Moses Moody wound up with it.
Yeah, it looked like he hit him on the inside of the elbow, which bowed him out, which made him bobble the ball.
Sure.
And then he turned around and Moody grabbed the ball. I thought what Moody did was totally clean, but I did think Looney got him.
So there was that one. We disagree on that one, but that's fine. I cannot believe they let that game end on a 5-second call. It was the right call.
Yes.
I don't want to. The refs did not blow that. I can't believe that this game that has been this good and was back and forth for 8 minutes of game time.
Oh yeah.
It from the 8-minute mark on was just back and forth. It's crazy. And they let it end on a 5-second violation. Give him 8 seconds. Like, what do you have to
I
do?
was just like stunned watching the Grizzlies stand around and not go anywhere.
What?
Jaw just like he makes his move at like 6 seconds. He goes to like break.
Right. As the ref's doing his 5th arm, because you do the arms to count. As he's doing his 5th arm thing, Jaw breaks, and it's like, ref's like, no.
I was watching with my son. I had enough time to go, oh, that's a 5-second call. And then the whistle blows.
Yes. Insane. And I don't know what they were doing on that play, because like you said, Jaw's just standing there. And what's Jaw going to do anyway? He's hurt, man.
Yeah.
So Jaw's just standing. You have Desmond Bain on the in the opposite corner. He's not been able to miss. And you have him just in the far corner. Like, there's no way the ball's getting to him.
Weird.
And you've got Luke Kennard just kind of calmly jogging to the corner. What play was that?
Not an effective one.
Really weird. I couldn't believe, like, it was the right call. Like I said, the refs did not blow the call. I just couldn't believe they let the game end on that. Man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Tough.
Alas. Zach Edey had a really effective game too. 14 points, 17 boards. 4 of 11 from the field though. Oof. So we avoid Kings Warriors part 3 if the Kings win tonight, of course. Will they win tonight? Let's dive into that matchup next. Kings, Mavericks, Golden One Center. We're going to get into what the Kings are facing. A little bit of a strange matchup, and we'll tell you why next. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil's here. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and we're back in a minute on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader. Hey. Bro, when I saw this on Instagram, I sent James a photo of it. And I said, at the next game I go to, I'm going to the team store and I'm buying this.
Oh, yeah. I told you I bought my son the sweatshirt.
The sweatshirt's so sick. I felt like the sweatshirt was a bridge too far.
Okay.
I can do the hat, but I can't do the hat and the hoodie.
Yeah.
And so I would have had, I would have done one or the other. And A, the hat is less expensive, and B, I'll wear it more.
So he has like the gray crew neck, not hoodie, but with like the stripes on the wrists as well.
Sick.
Yeah, I think it's really
That's
nice.
So funny. Little throwback look. That's so fire.
Well, shout out to Kenny, who's putting one graphic out after another.
Dude, just cooking. And then our guy Joe's putting graphics up. Jesus. I'm so sad they didn't bring Royale back. They got to do it.
Well, I mean, they hinted at it.
I know.
I think it was just a mess with De'Aaron, because they sort of hinted at it at the build up to the Spurs game,
right?
And then didn't. Yeah,
like that would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
But they were too busy coming up with the gold diggers.
I totally missed that whole deal.
Oh, like, man. Tough scene for our
the gold diggers,
for our men and women in the marketing department.
Is that for the Kings or for
Rivercats?
Rivercats, which is basically, let's be honest, the same group of people at this point.
Insane, man.
Wild.
Yeah. This would have been it would have been so good. I thought for sure that's what we were going to see. Yeah, Jimmy Butler was very, very good last night. Although I don't understand his affinity for being awesome, and then when there's 2.5 minutes left, passing up every drive.
Oh yeah.
Very odd. During the game, he's getting in there, he's scoring, he's hitting jumpers. 2 minutes left, tie game. Let's kick it out to Gary Payton.
I'm still lost with the De'Aaron Fox Royale thing. They were so conscientious of Fox's opinion on a mascot, but but not on whether they should fire the coach that he told them he didn't want to be there anymore if they fired him. I'm just saying. Like, the knee-jerk.
I never even put that together.
Like, take the mascot down. Mike Brown, you got to go. Take the mascot down. Like, man, what are we doing here? wild.
And just the whole trying to play it off as, oh, it was a bit. Like, no, you got to just lean into it.
Mhm.
You will sell if they had just leaned into, hey, look at this weird ass mascot we have.
He would be beloved right now.
Beloved, dude.
By now, he would be a fan favorite.
Yes.
Guaranteed.
He already is.
He literally already is.
I don't even
Yeah.
see the lion at all anymore. I don't.
His name is Slamson, first of
Slamson.
all.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
I actually
That
know his
lion
The
has
lion.
a name.
I know his real name.
The lion.
His real name is Brad.
Mute the mics for a sec.
Oh.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Justice for Royale. Oh, good fade.
Wow.
Did you fade that or did you take it out of our ears? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Ah, gotcha.
Because that just cut in our ears. So, all right. Very good.
We're watching Supernatural here in studio, and I just realized that the guy in Supernatural in this episode is the guy from White
Oh,
Lotus.
it's Greg.
It's Greg.
Nice. / Uncle Rico.
Yeah.
I just learned the other day that's Uncle Rico.
No.
I swear to God. Just learned that.
Wait, Uncle Rico's in White Lotus?
I would
Yes.
never have put two and
That's
two
Uncle
together.
Rico.
Wow.
Yes.
It is.
He can throw a football over the mountains.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
starting the show tonight. That's all you had to say.
What
He's
what just
actually-
happened?
He's actually so
Gary
it's kind
Gregg.
Of,
Yeah.
It's kind of an anthology series, sort of. It takes place at different venues across the 3 seasons. We're talking to Joe here, talking to the young people, and it takes place across 3 different. There's Thailand, Hawaii,
No.
Maui's the first one.
Yeah.
Is it Hawaii? Is it filmed on Maui? Doesn't matter. Anyways, there's 3 different locations. The other one's on the Amalfi Coast, and
Yeah.
the storylines are different, but there are a couple recurring characters, and he's one of them. He's in all 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Sold.
He's the only one in all 3 seasons, right? I think he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, was
I don't think so.
Yes. Yeah. The person who's in season 1 and 3,
Yep.
but not 2. And the person who's in 1 and 2, but not 3.
Yes.
But he's in all 3. Nice. Okay. Anyways, real quick, got a couple of housekeeping notes before we dive into this Kings Mavericks matchup. We got basketball to talk about. First of all, I got 3 housekeeping items for you, so buckle up. One of them is going to include us giving you money. So lock in. First of all, at 4:00 today, we've got Miami at Chicago in the 9-10 East play-in game. We've got that for you right here on ESPN 1320.
Awesome.
Miami, Chicago should be a ton of fun. I am looking forward to that game. I don't know that I'm looking forward to the next one with the Hawks and whoever wins this one, and I'm certainly not looking forward to their series against the Cavs. But the Bulls were really good to finish this year.
Yeah, the Bulls are rolling.
Yes.
Again, I want to see the best team win.
Yes.
The team that's playing the best going into the playoffs, so we actually get a good first round series.
Yeah. I hope we get. I think this will be a good game tonight, though. The Bulls are clearly playing better than Miami, but man, Eric Spoelstra in Miami in a 1-game play-in setting.
Yep.
You can't count them out. So that'll be a ton of fun. As far as the money goes, ESPN 1320 is giving away money just for listening to the station. ESPN listeners will have 2 chances to win big. All listeners have to do is listen for the 2 keywords throughout the day and then enter it online at ESPN1320.com. Listeners will have 2 chances to grab a keyword, one with us on the Insiders and the other with D'Lo and KC. Each day, one lucky winner will win $500. That's courtesy of Folsom Lake, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram. And that begins next week.
That's amazing.
$500. We're giving it away.
That's right.
And then we're also doing we're doing a draft party for the Professional Football League that is the most
There
prominent
you
one.
go. Yeah.
I don't know what we're allowed to say and not say. So we're doing a pro football draft party
That's right.
at Cache Creek. It's going to be a ton of fun. So here's how it's going to go. James and I are doing a live show there from 4 to 5 p.m. Talking NFL draft 4 to 5 p.m. in the YOLO room. It's a small conference room.
It's like a
small
ballroom. Yeah, it's
Small ballroom.
Intimate setting.
Intimate setting. Come hang out. We're just gonna chill and talk draft. Super non-formal. It'll be on air. We'll have to follow, the rules and stuff.
Mhm.
But really non-formal, ton of fun. And then we're gonna pack up our stuff and we're gonna head over to the Elevate Lounge, which is this big, beautiful bar with a bunch of TVs in the middle of the casino. And we're going to watch the NFL draft there. Not doing a show, not going to have mics on, not doing anything. We're just hanging out, having some good food, having some good drinks, and watching the NFL draft with you at Cache Creek. Again, that is Thursday, April 24th. So that's next Thursday. Live show 4 to 5. Watch party begins right after that. Watch party begins at 5.
That's right.
And then we're just hanging out.
Just chilling. Come hang out with
Got to
us.
see where the night takes us. It's going to be a ton of fun out at Cache Creek on April 24th. Cannot wait to get out there and do that. But before we get to the NFL draft here on the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube, James Ham over there. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil's behind the glass. The glass, by the way, is a divider between Studio 2 and Studio 1.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't
Just
know if
a-
everyone is
yeah, I
completely
don't-
aware.
Yeah, Joe's not just in a random cage. So we have, 7 studios here?
8?
I don't know.
7 studios or
7.
something? So Joe is in the very first studio, which is Studio 1. We're in Studio 2.
Mhm.
The glass is the window between the two studios.
Mhm.
It's a big window that you can look through and we can see Joe and he can see us.
Yep.
So when we say Joe's behind the glass, that's what he is. That's what he's doing. He's free to roam about as he wishes.
Oh yeah,
He's not
I'm
locked in a
being-
glass
I'm not
container.
being held captive.
Yeah, right. Okay. I just
wink.
wanted to make sure that was
Yeah.
what?
No, nothing. Yeah, no, it's all good. We're all good over here.
Kings Mavs tonight, Golden One Center. Kings swept the season series against Dallas. Dallas and the Kings feel like they're two sides of the same coin. They're both in very weird places organizationally, but not the exact same place.
Yeah.
But you wrote down, and it's correct. This is a completely different Mavericks team than the one the Kings have faced at any point this year. But also, it's a little bit different Kings team than the one the Mavericks have faced at any point this year. A lot of turmoil between these two teams.
Yeah, I would say that these teams are two of the most unsettled franchises in the league as of right now. Like going into the offseason, the biggest difference is that, I mean, they both traded their star. They, of course, traded a superstar where the Kings traded a star level player.
Mhm.
They did get a superstar level player back, but an injury prone one who's in his 30s, as opposed to the 25-year-old superstar they had.
Boy.
They've set their path forward is not good. And they don't even have like the draft capital to go and replenish and to figure things out. And also, I think that there's a point here where they're going to become a little bit like Sacramento for like the next 2 or 3 years, where they're sort of a free agency pariah team, because I don't think anyone wants to go to Dallas and be part of the group that replaces the Luka
No.
version. And so I don't think that there's going to be a lot of people lining up waiting to go there. And again, they don't have draft picks. They don't have any of their draft capital, I think, until 2030. Like whether it's, they've already traded it or they've got pick swaps, or, again, they can't trade in between, the step-in rule, all that stuff. This is a team that's in a bind, in a bad spot. And they're in a bad spot because of a general manager who kind of went rogue and just decided to like trade their best player.
Again, Kirk Henderson from Mavs Moneyball, he does an awesome job covering the Mavs. He's going to join us at 11:20. I want to talk hoops with him. I want to talk about the game tonight, but it's impossible to avoid the Luka, Nico Harrison conversation, because Nico Harrison had an invitational presser yesterday with no recording devices, no cameras, but they released a transcript of the conversation.
And the transcript is just wild.
You get why he didn't want it recorded.
Yeah.
But and now I'm seeing stuff about how it's even more awkward than it looks in the transcript, and it's just a mess. So it's impossible to talk about the Mavericks right now without talking about this mess that they've put themselves in, because their GM, who the fan base to a person wants fired, keeps shooting himself in the foot.
Yeah.
Just keeps scoring own goals.
Well, that, and the tough thing is that Nico Harrison, like he's a Nike executive.
Right.
That's where he comes from.
Who's really has a lot of connections and friends in the league.
Yeah, but he didn't come up through a system as a basketball person. And it's just different. Yeah, I mean every team chooses a different path, and I mean some of the transcript stuff is just wild.
It's incredible stuff.
It's just wild. I mean, and the funny thing is, like, if there is no recording devices outside of the team recording device, they get to put the transcript out. Like, right? So we've got transcripts from the Kings of like a 20 or let's say a 12-minute coaching press conference, right? And they'll give you like the first 3 questions and answers. Or sometimes if there's something controversial, they'll just skip it.
Yes.
So like just the way this thing reads is just wild.
Right.
I mean, I've got this Tim McMahon exchange here. It's just absolutely bonkers. It's crazy.
I don't want to because I will say Tim McMahon's first question was a little bit convoluted.
Yep.
So I don't want to go all the way through it. But the crux of his question was, you say that you've built this window and this long-term path.
Yep.
But you don't have any draft capital and you traded away a star who just took you to the finals in the middle of his prime or even before his prime. So how are you in a better place?
Yeah.
And Nico Harrison says, can you repeat the question?
Did you see his answer to that? His answer to that is spectacular.
Yes. So Tim McMahon said, do you have his answer in front of you?
Yes.
So Tim McMahon restates the question. You don't have any draft capital moving forward.
Yeah.
You say you open this window for long-term success, but you traded away a younger player who just got you to the finals for Anthony Davis, who's an older injury-prone player. How are the Mavs in a better spot now? How is the Mavs future in a better spot now than it was? And what did Nico Harrison say?
Well, his first thing, can you repeat that?
Right.
And then he responds, I keep saying the same thing, but defense wins championships. I believe that we have a championship caliber team, not only for now, but also for the future. Obviously, the future will hold if I'm right or wrong. And ultimately, we're going to be held to the standards of wins and losses. And every executive in every field is going to be held to that same standard. So, I mean, the question that Tim asked was like, he said 27-30, you're out on your first round capital. Your own words, you created a 3 to 4 year time frame. When the credit card bill comes due, that time frame is over. How is that in the best interest of your long-term interests of the franchise? Again, 27-30, you're out of your capital. You build a franchise, you build a finals team doing it, and you trade the guy who led that finals team. How is that in the long-term best interest when he's at the same time a 25-year-old generational talent who could have had a 10 to 12 year runway? Yeah.
And the thing that's insane is Nico Harrison has not provided any answer outside of, well, defense wins championships.
That's it.
They've done all this sniping of Luka in the press, anonymous sources saying that they feel this and that. If you really feel that way, then say it. Say it with your chest, man.
Yeah.
In that press conference, when Tim McMahon says, bro, you got this 10 to 12 year runway, say, we don't think we had a 10 to 12 year runway. We think we had a 1 to 2 year runway because we don't think he's going to work hard. We think he's going to be out of shape. We think he's going to have injury problems. We were out on him as a future centerpiece of our franchise. Say it.
Yeah. End of story.
Say it.
Yep.
But, well, defense wins championships and you're entitled to your opinion. Only the future will tell what's right and wrong. Like, brother, no, you're wrong. It's not. So anyways.
The Kings play this team.
Anyways, this is the team. Like, it genuinely, for the Kings have been through the ringer this year. You fired a coach, the assistant GM left, the general manager's on the hot seat. You finished 10-ish wins below where you thought you would.
You traded your best player.
Traded your best player. You've had injury problems. Your other best player, there's rumors that he's going to ask out. Yeah, it's just been a mess. and they are they're still in a better spot than the Mavs.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable incompetence in Dallas.
Well, that's the key word, incompetence. Like, that's what it is.
That's it.
Like, and like, there are teams that trade their best players. There are teams that trade players like Luka. They like throughout the history of the NBA, players like him on occasion get traded, or they leave. They leave via free agency. They do whatever. But to not at least maximize your dollar and maximize what you're trading him for, like Luka was worth 5 or 6 first-round picks. Like that's how you reset your franchise. You give away all of your picks, right? Yep. To build a championship winner, which is what Tim McMahon is saying. You kept mortgaging your future to build a championship winner, and then you traded the centerpiece of your franchise. So like all of it doesn't make any sense. If you're going to trade that piece, then you better get back either all that draft capital or a player that's going to be your centerpiece going forward. And unfortunately, I don't think Anthony Davis is that player. That doesn't mean he's not a very, very good player, an exceptional NBA player. But there's a big difference between, the Anthony Davises of the world and the Luka Doncic of the world.
That's it, man. There's Anthony Davis we need to get away from, if you don't call somebody the very, very best, that you're disrespecting them in some way.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is one of the best players in the league. Luka Doncic is a tier above. If Luka was on the Mavs right now, I don't think they'd be playing in this game, but if they were, I would have so much more fear of the Mavericks if they had Luka going into the night instead of Anthony Davis.
Well, of course.
And it's not even close. It's not even, it is not even in the same. And again, that is not, oh man, Anthony Davis can't bust up the Kings tonight. He might. And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about reasons to the Mavs could win or the Kings could lose. Like, we'll get to that. But if Luka was playing in this game instead of Anthony Davis, let's say they were in this game because Luka's been hurt and he came back in the last week and they fought and they scratched and clawed and they got to the 10 seed, we would be like, man, this is a tough Dallas team. A team that went to the finals last year. PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively, and man, they got Luka running around. It's going to be tough. And instead it's this.
Yep.
It's Anthony Davis and
what
else?
And I'll tell you, like some of the conversation will be that, well, Luka's got to go win and, he's going to have LeBron and all that stuff. But I will just tell you the 10 to 12 year window that Tim McMahon is talking about just got transferred to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yep.
Because once LeBron is gone, that's Luka's team. And it will not be that difficult to build a winner, a sustainable winner, because he's that good.
Yep.
Just took a marginal team to the NBA Finals last season.
Yep.
Can he win one? Wow, yet to be seen. But still.
They're going to be in the conversation for as long as Luka is suiting up and playing basketball.
Yep.
Man. All right, we'll keep diving into tonight's play-in game between the Kings and Mavericks. Again, 11:20, Kirk Henderson, Mavs Moneyball, and of course, Pod Maverick, a Dallas Mavericks podcast, does a great job covering the Mavs. He's going to join us at 11:20 to kind of get that perspective. How do the Mavs win? What's going on down there in Dallas? We'll discuss all that. We'll have keys to a Kings victory tonight. All that coming up. Also, I want to very briefly talk about the Eastern Conference play-in game last night because I might be out on Trae Young moving forward. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil's here. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center.
There's this crazy thing I wanted to talk about yesterday. I saw it yesterday when I was looking over stats, and it's not really like a topic for. I mean, it can be a topic for the radio, but when Zach LaVine was traded to the Sacramento Kings, he was shooting 51.1% from the field, 44.6% from three.
Who's this?
Zach LaVine. When he got traded to the Kings. 51-1 and 44-6. And that was in 42 games. In his 32 games with the Sacramento Kings, he shot 51.1% from the field and 44.6% from three.
Wow.
The exact same number. Both 3-point shooting and 2-point field goal percentage.
That's
He took 0.9
nutty.
shots less with the Kings. He shot one less free throw with the Kings. But from the free throw line, that's the only thing that's different. He shot 79.7% as a member of the Bulls and 87.4% with the Kings from three. Yeah, just absolutely wild.
That's hard to do.
Yep. Yeah, it's like Isaiah Thomas had the same true shooting percentage 3 straight years in Sacramento, which was like off the charts good. I think he was like 57.4. Let me see. Per 36, per 100 possessions. Advance. Yeah, true shooting. 57.4, 57.4, 57.4 in his first 3 years in the league. That's crazy. Yeah, just the statistics on Zach LaVine are nuts. His best field goal percentage of his career, his best 3-point shooting of his career. And that's saying something. I mean, he's a 2-time All-Star. This is a guy that's, put up numbers everywhere, but
Good news. Oh, wait. Bad news. Hang on.
how is that possible?
Because game 1 starts on Sunday. So
Oh.
Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Oh, got it.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I don't think he does. DeMar doesn't have any trade kickers or anything, right?
No. Nope. If he had a trade kicker, it got paid out. And actually, I think he did, and he accepted a lower number.
Mm. I agree on this. Yes. I can't. That was a just all-time get me out of this game ejection.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody has ever been more ready to be ejected than that. I also want to get to the Paul George thing I texted you today.
Yeah. I like that topic.
Okay. I trade Zach LaVine for Trae Young straight across.
Yes.
Oh man, that's tough. I think I would.
Yeah.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
The Mavericks moved on in the East last night with their play-in win. Magic. Kings Mavericks tonight. We'll talk about that, but I want to put a pin in it to talk about the 7-8 matchup between the Magic and Hawks last night. Magic jump out to an early lead, Hawks battle back, and then the Magic pull away. I got the ick watching Trae Young get ejected.
Yeah.
It was such a strange. He's not the first player. He's not the only player who's ever. I've watched Draymond purposely get ejected perhaps 400 times in my life, but the way he went about it, where he's barking at the ref, trying to get a T, got a T, and then did whatever he could to get a second one.
Yeah, just
And
disrespectful.
Just took the ball and wasn't giving it back to the official. Knew he was going to get teed up, wanted to get teed up, wanted to not be playing in that game anymore. It was the stuff going off the court where he pump fakes the referee and then drops the ball on the ground as he's walking off. I didn't like it. Not a fan.
Yeah.
It's my old man yells at cloud take of the day.
I remember there was a game where a specific big man did not want to play against DeMarcus Cousins. Did not want any part of it. And after the game, I was told very specifically that he went to the official and said, "Throw me out of the game." He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Throw me out of the game. I don't want to be here. Throw me out of the game."
I think I know who it is.
Well, I'm not going to say the
Would
name.
you blink twice if I said the name and it was right?
Maybe.
Okay, here, I'll ask it this way. Is it a player who's technically been on the Kings?
No.
No?
No.
Not a person who's been on the Kings twice, sort of?
No.
Okay.
No, that player has got thrown out multiple times for going crazy. This one quietly went over, said something to the official, got his first tee, said, "Okay, what are the magic words I need to say again?" Said them again and said, "All right, you're out." First quarter, like, I'm good. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be here.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So I say that about Trae and how I kind of got the ick from watching him get ejected. It's just like, man, I thought he was, I don't know, above that. I didn't think he was that type of player. But then somebody in the chatty house asked if I would trade Zach LaVine for Trae Young straight across. Kind of makes sense.
Okay, so like if you're the Kings, would you consider that? And I would, like, in all honesty, I think you would have to.
Yeah.
Like, Trae is 4 years younger, doesn't have the injury history. He's not nearly as efficient as a player. He's not efficient
as
at
a scorer.
all.
He's not even close.
Yeah, he's not efficient at all. He's even, for as great of a 3-point shooter as you think he is, he's not very good.
He just shoots them from far away. He doesn't make them at a particularly high clip. Trae Young's superpower is that he's a point guard.
Yeah.
He is an awesome distributor.
Yeah, he led the league in assists this year at 11.6, but he also shot 34% from three and 41% from the field.
Ooh.
Now, part of that's because they blew up their team halfway through the year. They had injuries. Again, we talked about this. Jalen Johnson went out. They traded DeAndre Hunter. They traded Bogdan Bogdanovic. Like, when that happens, you have to understand that all of the focus offensively, all of the focus for the opposition's defense is on one player. It's to try to take away Trae Young. Yeah. So Trae is basically out there looking around like who else is going to bust these guys up? And the answer is nobody. Nobody is in the scouting report as like a plus.
Nope.
Like, teams do not fear Reseche. They don't fear Dyson Daniels. They understand that Capella can dunk in the pick and roll, or that Okongwu can dunk in the pick and roll, but there's no other like offensive creative threat. And so all of their energy goes to limiting everything that Trae Young does. And so that's why you have a season where, again, he shoots below his career shooting percentage is 43.3%. His career 3-point shooting is 35.2. You put him in the right system and you take him away from the only team he's ever played for, I think he's going to look a little bit different. He's never going to be a good defender at all.
Yeah, but there'd have to be a very specific team built around him.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like the Hawks are moving that direction, but I'm not totally sure. But anyway, the idea of having Trae Young with the Kings, and the reason it's appealing is just that point guard aspect, because like going into tonight's game against the Mavs, one of the big concerns I have for the Kings is, hey, if this game gets a little bit sideways or it's a little hectic, who's the calming offensive presence? Who's the person that Mike Conley for the Timberwolves, right?
Mhm.
Mike Conley doesn't do a lot of things great at 38 years old or whatever he is, but man, when they need to slow things down, they can get him the ball. He's going to get everything organized, and they're going to run the offense.
Yep.
The Kings have missed that player all year, and well, not all year, really, since they traded De'Aaron Fox. They have missed that player. That kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The organizational, no, just the guy to run the offense.
The floor general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're missing that. And that's where tonight against Dallas, because Dallas really doesn't have the player either.
They don't. No, because Kyrie's done and because Luka got traded.
Right. So they don't really have that player either. Like, God love Dante Exum. I don't think anybody's confusing Dante Exum for John Stockton.
No.
So it's a concern I have tonight. And if they win, it'll be a concern going into the Memphis game. And if they win that one, it'll be a concern going into the playoffs where, hey, when things get slowed down and they grind to a little bit of a halt, are the Kings just going to revert to, okay, it's DeMar DeRozan time? Because that's his thing. And I have a hard time. This is where I agree with our buddy Sean Cunningham, KCRA3 Sean Cunningham. This is where I have a little bit of a hard time disagreeing with him, because in that spot, when you look at, we always talk about the Kings and their team build and what makes sense and what doesn't. And man, if the Kings are in a spot where it is tied or they're down a couple points and there's 4 minutes left, you don't have somebody who's going to go, okay, I'm going to bring the ball across. Let's get into the offense. All right, let's run it. It's just going to be, all right, everybody clear out. It's DeMar time. And that is where, like, that's kind of where you want to have them, maybe.
No, I get it, especially in playoff basketball when the game does get slow.
Yeah.
When pace is not nearly as prevalent. Guys like DeMar, guys even like Zach LaVine, like the ISO game. And I think that's why when we look at this contest, we look at the Kings in a different light than we do the Dallas Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Dallas Mavericks still have a superstar. Like on paper and like historically, the best player in this game is probably going to be Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's a better player. Like, again, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, just like DeMar DeRozan is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Right.
So my point though is that, that if you're really fearing the two teams, like Anthony Davis needs help to be the player that he is.
Mm-hmm.
Like defensively, he's incredible, great rebounder.
Mm-hmm.
Like he can score like crazy as well, but there are ways to limit him and limit his effectiveness. And a lot of that is the fact that he's not going to have a point guard at all. Like there is not going to be a point guard in this game. Exum, you could consider a point guard, but like as of right now, they're starting Najee Marshall at the point, or they're starting Klay Thompson at the point. That's what they did like the second to the last game of the season. I didn't look at their last game of the season because that one didn't matter.
Weird game.
But like when I look at the way that team is created, they have a lot of players that are so dependent on having Luka or having Kyrie. And when they don't have those pieces, how do you function?
Yeah.
Because again, Anthony Davis as just like an individual player and a historical player is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But I would rather have a player today like Domantas Sabonis who I can run the ball through and can pass and like make plays for everybody else because he's used to doing that.
So I think that's it. If I laid out the wrong scenario, let's say there's a spot tonight where early third quarter, Mavs go on a 13-0 run, and they take an 11-point lead. Who's the player that the Kings go to and go, okay, we need to get into our offense and get a bucket? Let's run our best play. Let's run our best set. And I think Domas is it.
Yeah.
I think he has to be the organizer. And I mentioned crunch time. If in crunch time, it's going to be Najee Marshall or Anthony Davis v. DeMar DeRozan trying to go bucket for bucket, cool. But in that spot where, hey, got to settle things down, this is a must-win game, everybody chill, I think it has to be Domas.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Because if it gets into that where, okay, now we're stopping the ball, and whether it's DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine or otherwise, you can't get into that, oh my God, we can't get a stop. It's a 13-0 run. Quick, take a contested jumper. That cannot be the plan going into tonight or the next game or the next series.
Yeah.
And they got to figure that out.
I agree. But I do think the Kings are better equipped because of their ability to go into specific ISO plays.
I think you're right.
In crunch time in the playoffs.
And if there was that little stretch where DeMar was distributing and facilitating and also doing his DeMar thing, that would be great. If he wants to be the de facto point guard, awesome.
Yep.
A+. Love that idea. I just don't know that that's something that we can effectively rely on. What we can effectively rely on is our friends at Underdog. It's daily fantasy sports. Their pick'em game is super easy. You pick higher or lower on at least 2 player stats. I tell you about it all the time. They've got basketball, and of course, with the NBA playoffs coming up, you're going to want to lock in to basketball, but they've got baseball, they got hockey, all your favorite sports, all your favorite leagues, all your favorite teams, all your favorite players. What they're doing for the NBA playoffs, though, is awesome. They're doing a profit boost token, 40% profit boost for game 1. If you use that 40% profit boost token, you get a 50% profit boost token for game 2, all the way up to 100% for game 7. That is incredible. I will be using that. I usually give out a lineup now. I'm ice cold. I don't know that I've ever been colder in daily fantasy, so I'm not going to give you a lineup. I guess I could have given you one to fade, but okay. I'm not going to give you a lineup. I'll have one. I'm just not going to give it out. I'm not trying to give out losers, and I'm very unconfident in my ability to create Underdog fantasy lineups right now. So download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code KYLEM, KYLEM, to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code KYLEM, KYLEM. Create your own lineup. Whether you want to do the Kings game or another one, create your own lineup. Don't follow mine. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/extend.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org. I didn't really do a tease there. That's fine.
Good question, Matt Morse. First of all, Marcus Smart's not a point guard. He's a defensive-minded combo guard, but he also doesn't shoot or shoot well, or and he actually has not aged well. If you look at his decline, I don't hate the idea, but finding a $21 million player to match salary would not be easy. And I think the easiest thing to do there, you can say, oh yeah, you can come up with an easy way to do that. You just traded DeMar DeRozan for him. I think DeMar has to. You also need a small forward to play as well. And look, I think you might have a younger, cheaper, more versatile version of Marcus Smart. Maybe he doesn't have the whole dog mentality, but you have that in Keon Ellis, in my opinion, and he's much, much less expensive. Wilsey, I think we're gonna try to work in a conversation about the front row Joe, but we do kind of have a big game to talk about tonight.
Yeah, there's a little bit more pressing matters happening today.
On occasion, we get lost into some of these stories, but on days like this, you kind of got to stay focused on
absolutely
the task at hand.
Tell you what, if you guys want an update, go to my Instagram, joe.brazil, and on my story, you will see an update of what happened last night.
Look at that, Joe. Joe's just throwing out his his gram handle.
It took a month and a half for me to self-promote.
There it is.
I did take a look at the grass. I actually went out there. Dude, it looks great. The grass is holding up in Sutter Health.
Shout out to the grounds crew.
Yeah, but it hasn't got hot yet. That's the problem.
Hey, but so far so good.
All right.
There's benchmarks. Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen, Joe Brazil on the ones and twos. We're hanging out with you till noon. Then we'll hand it off to D-Lo and KC. And those guys will take you up to 4 o'clock. And then at 4 o'clock, the first play-in game. Well, tonight's first play-in game, Miami at Chicago, right here, 4 o'clock, ESPN at 13:20. Of course, the Kings play tonight against the Dallas Mavericks.
That they do.
I want badly to overlook the Mavs. I don't think if the Kings play a B-level game and the Mavs play a B-level game, I think the Kings win pretty easily, control the game. My greatest concern is less about the Mavs going off because they just don't have, we just talked about it. And Anthony Davis is most effective scoring when he's playing center. He's playing the 4 for the Mavs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably more jump shots than you'd like to see from Anthony Davis.
Well, yeah, because he's playing the 4 alongside 2 rim running centers.
Correct. Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford.
Yeah, those guys, like, they're space cloggers. I mean, they hide in the dunking position.
Right.
That's something that the Kings have struggled with guys that hide in the dunk position. Because you remember, it wasn't, these 2 were hurt. Lively and Gafford were hurt early in the season. Well, later in the season when they played the Mavs a second time.
Earlier this season, not early in the season.
Yeah, but it was it was Kai Jones who busted up the Kings with a bunch of dunks from that dunking spot. That's going to be a problem. Like, the Kings are going to have to figure that one out. But again, Anthony Davis just brings a different dynamic to this.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess you can run the ball through him. You know, I looked at his stats and I'm thinking, oh, like, where's he at assist wise, right? Can they run the ball through him like they did with like the Kings do with Domas? In 9 games, he averaged like 4.4 assists per game. And I'm like, oh, that's not bad. So maybe they are using him a little bit. Then I go in and I look at the box scores. Yeah, he averaged 4.4 assists, but the last game he played this season against the Toronto Raptors, who are not good at all, he had 10 assists and he had triple-double.
So it skews the numbers because his sample size with the Mavs is very small.
Yeah, and the game before that, he had 6 assists versus the Lakers, which, of course, everyone's amped up for that game, right?
Well, okay, keep going. I might have a counterpoint.
The game before that, he had 0. The game before that, he had 2. And then a couple of games at 5, a game at 2, and a game at 3. So, yeah, I mean, in all honesty, like, his time there, he really hasn't been able to shine as, like, well, we don't know who he is. And I don't think the Mavs know who they are with Anthony Davis or without Anthony Davis.
Yeah, we talk about the difficulties of trying to integrate new players after the De'Aaron Fox trade. Imagine trying to integrate new players after trading Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then you lose Kyrie Irving. It's a couple of just massive blows to the 2 players. Like you said, they've built this team around those guys. And now they don't have either of those guys. So the pieces are weird. I'm less concerned about the Mavericks though, because of course we all know what Klay Thompson is capable of, right? Or at least was capable of. But I don't think Klay is the type of player anymore who's going to go get 45 points and carry a team. You got to guard him. He might go 8 of 13 from 3 if you let him mess around and get open. But I don't think Klay's that player anymore. Najee Marshall had a game this year where he had 30. That's weird. He's not a player that's gonna go carry you. Anthony Davis is, but like you said, we don't know exactly what his role is with Dallas. My greater fear tonight, I say all of that to say, my greater fear tonight is the Kings.
Oh yeah.
I'm not, again, if this was Luka, if Luka was still on the team, it would be a discussion about Luka as a playmaker, as a scorer, as just a singular offensive force. Without that, and without Kyrie, there's not a lot to lean on, as we've just explained. The worry is, hey man, we talk about a B performance for the Kings. They might lay down an F performance because who knows? It's been the conversation all year. You just never know on a night in, night out basis what kind of performance you're going to get for the Kings. I want to believe, my heart wants to believe, that Doug Christie is gonna say whatever he needs to say, have whatever acronym he needs written down on the whiteboard to get everybody going, okay, let's go win this game and win it by 50. We're going to play our best basketball right now. The best thing we can do is play our best basketball. And when we do that, it's A, B, C, and D. We got to check all these boxes, and they go check those boxes.
Mhm.
My heart wants to believe they're going to do that.
Yep.
But there's just too much evidence of them not doing that this year where I can't fully buy in. I think they're going to win. I want them to win. But if you're saying, hey, you have to bet your life on it, I would not take that bet.
Yeah, because even when we hear Doug Christie talk about this, like the nameless, faceless opponent, like the Kings' biggest like opposition is themselves. And everyone knows that. If you buy into the game plan and you execute the game plan to a T, this team will win.
Yes.
Like they have better pieces all around than the Dallas Mavericks right now.
I would agree with you.
I mean, I don't think there's anybody who's going to question that. The Mavericks could have the best player on the court, but he won't be the best player on the court tonight, most likely, because there's very few ways to maximize him as a player. If they had Kyrie Irving, I would feel totally different.
Same.
If they can have that guy running around doing the pick and roll with Gafford, and then the pick and roll with PJ Washington, hitting the three, and then the pick and roll with Derek Lively, who gives them just another different look. And then you get that moving, and then all of a sudden you start firing the ball to Anthony Davis, and he starts cooking. And the Kings don't really have somebody that can defend Anthony Davis. You're hoping that Keegan Murray can hold his own against a 6'11", long wingspan, defensive genius in Anthony Davis, but you're so limited, right? They are so limited because they don't have a natural point guard, because they don't have a way to move the ball in the right way. And it's proven out that way. Like you look at their record in the second half of the season, it's abysmal.
Yep.
And they've been through a bunch of trauma. And for some reason, Nico Harris decided to bring up a bunch more trauma with his off the record, whatever. I don't even know what we're calling it at this
on the
point.
record, but nobody record anything I'm saying press conference.
Yeah, they don't want video of it. They don't want audio of it. They just want to transcribe it, right? So why exactly why are you doing that now? Why are you causing more chaos, more drama surrounding this team the day before you go play a play-in game? And the answer is they don't have an answer.
Inexplicable.
Yeah, they don't have an answer for why they're doing the things that they're doing. And the team on the court looks exactly the same. It looks like a group of players that don't have an answer. They have been abysmal in the second half of the season. You talked about it. What's their net rating?
Minus 12.3 since the All-Star break. 9.3.
Something like that.
It is a minus a lot since the All-Star break and in their last 15 games.
Yeah, it's not good. And
they don't, and there's a difference. Like the Kings don't have a point guard, right? We have bemoaned this all year. But the Kings don't have a point guard, but they still have Zach LaVine, who you feel good with the ball in his hands. DeMar DeRozan, of course, can work in that role as a primary ball handler. You still have arguably the one of the two best passing big men in the sport in Domantas Sabonis, who is so effective when passing the basketball and being that offensive hub. So they have ways around it in ways I'm not sure the Mavs do. And we'll talk to Kirk Henderson, who covers the Mavericks, coming up here at 11:20 in about 10 minutes. And I'm curious to ask him, functionally, how does this work? Because I'm not totally sure it does, but it just might not matter. Because you might get a sleepy performance from the Kings where they're down 8 at the half and they're forced to claw back and they just can never quite get over the hump because enough guys hit big threes for the Mavs, and it's just by the time the game ends, they've lost by 5.
Yeah. And that's because 50% of the games, it feels like, after the trade are exactly that. Like you just don't know who the team is walking on the floor. And you hope that they would be geared up and like excited to play this game and there wouldn't be any letdown at all. And the ball's hopping and everything's moving right. And they look like the team that beat the Cavs or beat the Pistons. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be that team.
Yeah.
We have the Washington game. We have, before that, the Orlando and Indiana game. We have too many games this season where they show up and they're just not the team that you thought that they would be. and they're searching for an identity for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that this is the right time for them to find any kind of identity. Like you needed to find an identity 2 weeks ago
Mm-hmm.
and build off of that. And they've played better.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that they haven't played better, but they have. But at the same time, both of these teams are 6-9 over the last 15.
Yep.
The biggest difference is that Dallas is a negative 7.3 net rating. They average 110.2. That's their offensive rating, and a 117.6 defensive rating.
Just so, and just real quick, offensive rating, estimated points per 100 possessions.
Yeah.
Defensive rating, estimated points allowed per 100 possessions. Net rating, offensive rating minus defensive rating.
Yeah. And so the Kings, 116.6 is their offensive rating. So like 6.4 better than Dallas. Their defensive rating is worse at 118.2, but that defensive rating is 0.6 worse. So the Kings net rating is a negative 1.6 over the last 15 games.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this other sneaky thing that we didn't talk about, and that's that the Kings had one of the most difficult schedules in the final 15, 20 games of the season, and the Dallas Mavericks had one of the easiest schedules in the final, and that's why Dallas is still standing and the Phoenix Suns aren't, because Phoenix had an even worse schedule than the Kings.
Yeah.
And so here we are, we're looking at these two teams, and we can compare offensive, defensive ratings and all these things, but the Kings were a better team down the stretch. They had some buzzsaw games that there was no way that they were going to win.
Yeah. And securing a 12th pick in the chatty house at youtube.com/ESPN1320 makes a good point. Anthony Davis did miss a bunch of time. You can't overlook that.
Oh no,
but
of
like
course.
we've talked about, they're better with Anthony Davis, like no doubt. There's not a question.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know basketball wise how they make this work. If the Kings play a B game, if they play a B level game, I don't know how Dallas either stops defensively or keeps up offensively. That's where and again, we'll talk to Kirk Henderson, and maybe he has an answer for us.
And we might be way off. This game could
be.
just be a complete Dallas Mavericks blowout tonight, and everyone's like, what in the world just happened?
Is there an outcome tonight? And I'm sorry, I know Mitch and Sam are on the Elk Grove Kia Talk on. I'm sorry, I didn't have the phones up. That's my fault. Is there an outcome tonight that would surprise anybody? I don't think there's a single outcome. I think I would be surprised if the Kings got like blown out, like 30 points. That would surprise me.
Would it?
Yes.
Yeah.
If they got smoked,
like the triple Jones on the court at the end, that would be a rough look.
Like, if
something like that.
I don't think it gets that bad, but if they lost by 15, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, like
they just comfortably lose.
I think that there's a possibility for everything, because these games have an emotional swing one way or another. I think, we were looking at keys to the game. One of my first keys was, you've got to get the crowd involved.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how you win. You build some momentum. You play well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if this team comes out and they look like they don't have it, we've seen too many times this season when they don't have it, they don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
There is no other button that they can push. Maybe one game this season I can remember where they were bad in the first half and like they didn't have it and they're down like 12 at halftime, and then they came back and just ran over somebody. Like one or two times.
Yeah.
They're really good when they're leading going into the fourth quarter. But outside of that, like, this team has to be competitive from the opening tip.
That's it.
And they've got to be competitive all the way through the first half. And they can't just let the game slip away, because in games like this, there is a possibility to just let go of the rope. And you hope that doesn't happen. Yeah. But you hope that you're the team that forces the other team to let go of the rope.
Yeah. And what did I just I don't know. Somebody in the chat says this feels a bit off. Jason Kidd had them playing very hard even when they had no one. That's true.
Yeah.
We talked about that. The Mavs won some games there where you're going, man, they won. They made the 10 seed despite all of that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, credit to Jason Kidd. I just and I guess that's sort of my point. The Mavs are likely going to come out and play hard, or maybe they won't. Maybe they're like, screw this. We would like to be done with this basketball season now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to do this anymore. 1, 2, 3 Cancun, and we're done. my point is, I don't think they're going to do that. And B, what I think you and I are both saying is that the Kings match that force. They're in a really good spot to win tonight.
Mm-hmm.
If they do not, they're in a really good spot to lose tonight. You can't play a C-level game and have the Mavs play an A game and feel good about winning. You have to match the urgency.
Yep.
And if they do that, I feel good about it.
Yeah.
But who knows? I sure don't. Somebody in the chatty house, as we were coming back from break, made the point, and I was it Mark Souza? I forget who it was. Made the point that this is a win-win for them, because if the Kings win, you get another game and you get that excitement. But if they lose, you get to fast forward to the part where they start blowing everything up.
Oh yeah.
All right, that's a perspective. I promise I will try to get to you, Mitch and Sam. I know you guys are on hold on the Elk Grove Kia talk line. I'm going to do my very best to get to you. If you don't want to be on the phone anymore, I don't blame you for hanging up. I'm sorry for not getting to you guys. But if we can, we will before this program ends. Coming up in 2 minutes. Kirk Henderson, Mavs Moneyball, Pod Maverick, a Dallas Mavericks podcast. One of my very favorite people covering the Mavs. He does such a great job. And we're going to ask him all these questions. We're not Mavs experts. He is. I want to find out what kind of game we're going to get tonight. Where is their fan base in terms of this game? Talk some Nico Harrison, talk some Luka. Tons to get into with Kirk Henderson next. He covers the Mavs for Mavs Moneyball right here on ESPN 1320. It is Sacramento Sports Leader. Stephen.
I'd also bring up, there's another point to this. It feels a bit off. Jason Kidd has been playing very hard even when they had no one. It's easier to play that way when you have no one, because the guys who are on the court are playing for their NBA lives. When you start peppering other guys in, it doesn't always feel the same way.
Hey, Kirk's here.
Cool.
Hey, Kirk Henderson. How are you, man?
Oh, we've had better days. Months, weeks, years,
seasons.
Just to give you a heads up, we're at commercial on the radio side, but you're live on the stream right now.
Cool.
So people can see you. How are things non-basketball edition? A lot of thumbs downs. All right.
Yeah,
we're kind of in the same boat out here in the 916. So
everything's covered in pollen. I feel like I'm quacking more than I'm talking.
Yeah. I mowed my lawn the other day. I did a bunch of yard work and did not wear a mask while doing so. And it just took me out the rest of the day.
Well, I made the adult mistake of getting Taco Bell about an hour ago, and I went out to my car, put my hand on the car, took my hand off my car, and it was yellow from the pollen. Like, this is like, come on.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
That's funny.
What'd we get at Taco Bell, though? That's the big question.
The one near me still somehow makes the legendary chili cheese burrito from days of yesteryear. Yeah. So
what?
It's like $3.50, which feels like a crime against humanity, but I will order it.
That's the new storyline.
That's
that's big time.
That's amazing. If you've ever taken a cross country trip and stopped at different places along the way, it's amazing how regional food is. Like even at McDonald's, Taco Bell, whatever. They always have something on the menu. You're like, oh, wow, look at that.
Weird.
Right.
Like the McRib was so huge, and it never goes away. Like in Texas and
is that true? You get year-round McRib?
I think it depends on pork prices. Like McDonald's will zero in when pork is really cheap, and then they'll bring it back.
Sure.
Here we get it every 4 years.
Economics of fast food. Brought to you by ESPN.
The chili cheese burrito was a staple of when I could just burn calories. And so when I saw it, I was like, I have to make this terrible choice.
I love this for you. No, this is great. I love that for you so much. When they brought back the Mexican pizza, it was a moment for me. Because that was the go-to growing up.
Yep, that's the best item on the Taco Bell menu.
Yeah, and then it went away, and then they brought it back.
Oh yeah,
but then they ran out because it was so popular. Loved it, the Mexican pizza. Shout out to Taco Bell.
Shout out to Taco.
We got about a minute here.
Shout out to Taco Bell.
Kirk, you were not at Nico's thing yesterday, right?
No, as my wife asked me yesterday, she's like, "So I see you didn't get the invite." I was like, "Well, no." Like if you the transcript is peppered, and my read on it is they very clearly tried to pick out, or Nico tried to pick out friendly media outlets, including some people that I just don't think go to Mavs games. There's one article from an outlet here called D Magazine, and the guy wrote an article. Let me see if I can find it, because it's got the best headline. I was at the exclusive Mavs media roundtable. It was more awkward than I imagined.
We're coming back. We're coming back. Hang on one second.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James Ham's there. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil behind the glass. If you follow one person who covers the Mavs, make it Kirk Henderson. He's our guest now. Mavs Moneyball. He writes there. He does a podcast, Pod Maverick at Dallas Mavericks podcast. Kirk, we were just talking about the Nico Harrison Invitational press conference, and you were not there. But why did they do this?
So I got wind of this about pushing 3 weeks ago. That they were going to do a behind closed doors, invite only tier 1 media, which is essentially the people when COVID happened, they grouped media off and they basically shoved a bunch of people that they didn't like up into a different tier, which fair enough. And this was supposed to be something that happened before Luka Doncic's return. It was delayed for whatever reason. I have a strong feeling, though nothing to back this up on, that Nico Harrison was attempting to do what children do, which is put off their homework as long as possible. And instead of bundling this and getting all of his idiotic comments out of the way before Luka came, he decided to restart the news cycle yesterday with this press conference. And it was, have you guys read the transcript? It's
some of it.
This is approaching like politics level bad, where it just like give the man a shovel and he finds a way to dig new holes. I'm just impressed with how much he can't read the room.
Was it you that posted the screenshot of the interaction with Tim McMahon?
It's out there. The local news. Yeah, it's real bad. Tim started off the press conference basically just saying, why shouldn't the owner fire you?
Just unbelievable question.
Which, and he just, Harrison, by my read of things, I don't really think he's a jerk or anything like that. I believe that he can't understand why people are so in arms over this. It's not that he doesn't want to, it's just he doesn't get it. Ignoring the fact that all of his reasons are really not steeped in any sort of actual logic, which is what McMahon kept pressing him on. If defense wins championships, the Mavericks had the best defense down the stretch and then played very well into the playoffs. Their problem in the finals was it was the whole everything. Boston was better than them. Like that's the actual challenge. But and I think he's just sort of decided to, my understanding, frankly, is that he had decided before the playoffs last year that he wanted to trade Luka Doncic and was looking for a way. This goes back far. This is reading Tim McMahon's book and the situation, this is a situation where Nico Harrison decided he wanted to trade Luka Doncic and then looked for a reason to do so.
All right. So the reason to do so, I mean, we're still left kind of befuddled with what the reason is. And not only that, but why did you trade him for like pennies on the dollar?
Oh, he actually believes Anthony Davis is a better basketball player. I mean, there's like a litany of reasons why Nico Harrison deserves to be fired. He 100% believes Anthony Davis is the better basketball player. It's why it did not occur to him to go get Austin Reeves as well, or any other draft picks, why he essentially settled for a trade package involving Max Christie, who's a fine role player on a decent contract, and a 2029 first. He thinks Anthony Davis is better than Luka Doncic. The end.
That's disqualifying for his job.
Oh, I mean, that's what made the press conference yesterday so amazing. He just continued to utter disqualifying statements. He was pressed a little later about the Quentin Richardson trade, and he said, I believe that who did he even trade for? One of the twins. Sorry, my brain's not. Yeah, he said, he's like,
Quentin Grimes.
I believe that Caleb Martin's a better basketball player than Quentin Grimes is essentially what his take boiled down to. I understand that basketball is a team game and things got to fit together. And sometimes you have to have role players, but these are just the sort of things where, he has his belief system, and it's very unfortunate that Mavericks fans, myself included, are paying the price for the fact that he just starts, his basis points are wrong. And I really, honestly, the further this goes, I don't expect him to have a job. Whether they do it before the draft or sometime next year, he can't continue to lead this team.
Kirk Henderson, Mavs Moneyball, and Pod Maverick, a Dallas Mavericks podcast. Is it okay if we shift gears and try and talk basketball?
Oh yeah, there's a game tonight.
Yeah, and I'm not being flippant. Like I genuinely, because I follow you and all the great work you guys do at Mavs Moneyball, and it feels really difficult when talking about the Mavericks, and we've tried to do this today, but we're trying to talk Mavs, and it's like, how do you get around the elephant in the room?
Well, if we focus on the actual basketball, what ends up happening is that you relate it back to the trade, but you can talk to the basketball itself. The Mavericks, I think, are 13-20 since the trade. So for all their talk of defense, they give up something like 60 points per game in the paint, which is 30th in the league. They are a disaster. And so Domantas Sabonis, who historically has, let's just be charitable and to Anthony Davis and say Domantas Sabonis has caused him some problems. All of these things balling together, like if Sabonis has a really big game, it's going to look really bad because you can't come out and give a lecture where I think he uttered the phrase defense wins championships in this press conference. Nico Harrison did like between 8 and 10 times. And I think the Kings are going to score 130 tonight. So what are we talking? What is it? It's all related, and you can really get back to the basketball. The Mavericks are the injuries have really hit the team hard. I've got to be honest about that. But then even before the injuries, they had expected Kyrie Irving to sort of deal with a massive workload, which isn't fair to a player of both his age and quite literally his size. I know what he's listed as, but if he's 6 foot and 175 pounds, then that would shock me. I mean, he is a slight man and an incredible athlete, but he was the only person on the team other than Spencer Dinwiddie who can get the ball to the rack. And I guess there's Najee Marshall too, but he's more of a forward. So what we'll end up seeing tonight is a Mavericks team that has a pretty good back line, but their guards are just not capable of matching up with anybody that the Kings have from a scoring perspective. And so it really doesn't matter that PJ Washington, Derek Lively, and Anthony Davis are capable of sort of patrolling the paint, to where if the Kings actually get going from three, if Levine is having one of those nights that he's capable of having, this could be one of those games where the game, it's similar to the Hawks Magic game last night where it's over by halftime.
Okay, we're talking to Kirk Henderson from Mavs Moneyball. My question is, how do they set up their offense? Because it does make sense to have Anthony Davis and even like the pick and roll players with Lively and Gafford and even the pick and pop player with PJ Washington when you've got Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving. Now that you don't have either one of them and they don't really have a point guard at all, like how do they get into their offense and how will this work?
It's been really ugly, but at times it's worked reasonably well. The big motions that the Mavericks do, where Anthony Davis is more of a distributor, have actually been quite effective. He's his passing. It's not that it surprised me, but I've not seen enough of it. The challenge becomes PJ Washington, to be quite honest. PJ Washington is a 4. He's not a 3. He's a 4 who can occasionally hit threes, and they've really neutered him in a way that's very disappointing because of all the players on the Mavericks roster, I think he's the one that sort of fits the okay, maybe we can build around him. Like he's not a super duper star, but he's a solid player, and I really appreciate both his effort on both ends of the floor. He's grown his game enough, but he's just ends up being the odd man out sometimes. Where if his 3 ball's not going, he is pretty rough. The big man rotation with Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively is very hit or miss. Derek Lively's not looked good since coming back from his injury, which is not entirely surprising. Ankle stress fracture, things like that. the guards, the X factor for me is if Spencer Dinwiddie is having one of those nights. He occasionally just gets really too big for his britches. Actually gets too big for his britches every game, but sometimes it really works out for him. He is an absolute master at the garbage foul. Like, you will scream at your television watching this guy getting to the line, where he just does some things where it's like, how did that defender bite on that?
Yeah.
And then, so if that's working out well for him, that tends to open up the Maverick offense a little bit, because he's a willing shot taker. But if you look at his just sort of, if you were to go down his game log, he has some games recently that don't make a lot of sense, where he'll take 4 shots in 29 minutes. And then in another game, he'll take 17. It's like, what are we doing?
That's some next level Zach LaVine stuff right there.
That's a big time.
And so to answer your question about how do they get into the offense, I mean, it's odd and it will be ugly. And I'm not really looking forward to it.
Okay, so I'm glad you said. I'm not glad you said that, but I am, because I what's the vibe from Mavs fans for this game? Is it just a get this season from hell over with? Is it, hey, let's sneak into the playoffs with this group, it'd be fun? Where Mavs fans landing for tonight?
That's a tough one, because I think so many of the casual fans have abandoned ship. A lot of hardcore fans really do enjoy the basketball itself, as they should. And so I think that fans would like to see the basketball continue as long as it can, but it's like what we let off the segment with. When you have the specter hovering over everything, it makes the actual basketball difficult to enjoy until you're actually watching it. I mean, that's been my deal covering it game to game, where I really can't stand talking about this team, and then I'm watching the games. I'm like, you know what? I like this because I like basketball.
Right.
I mean, a 10 seed I don't think has ever come out, so I don't necessarily think it matters. But when watching last night's play-in and watching Memphis, just sort of, that was just was the Seinfeld slap fight of a basketball game. And I think this one's going to be fairly similar, where it might be an instance of who has the ball last. You know, I still, that one of the defining games of the season for the Mavericks was the DeMar DeRozan game winner over the Mavericks. Do you remember that? I absolutely love that play, because he took like 37 steps. It was just so funny to watch, but it was so cool looking that I didn't notice it till down the road. And so maybe we'll get one of those games where it's a barn burner, because if neither team is all that effective at defense, then sometimes you can actually get some pretty watchable basketball.
Oh, fingers crossed.
We're talking to Kurt Henderson from Mavs Moneyball. Kurt, when you're looking at the way that this game may play out tonight, what is the one way in which you think the Mavericks can come away with a win?
I think the X factor, the aforementioned Spencer Dinwiddie coming out and putting north of 20 points is going to be the way things go. Najee Marshall's been a very consistent, if you haven't watched Najee Marshall's game recently, he's a remarkably skilled player, and you'll watch him and all of a sudden he'll have 18 points. You're like, well, how did that happen? Yeah. Maybe Klay Thompson getting hot. People don't really talk about this, but Klay Thompson's last game as a Warrior was against the Kings last year, where I think he went 0 for 10 from 3. And you have to think he wants that back, some element of that back, maybe him getting going. But he's been really, when he's on, he looks great. But when he's off, it's like, ooh, brother. So those two guys kind of being playing above how they've played more recently is kind of where I would go. There's a recent signee, Brandon Williams. He played for the G League affiliate, but didn't play that much. He actually spent most of the year with the Mavericks. Mavericks signed him to a contract once they were able to at the end of the year. He's a fun little spark plug, little guy. Not quite in like the ye old Yogi Ferrell type, but just that kind of small guy gonads, and it just, like, you love watching guys like that. So I think if any of those guys were to get going in a tangible way, you'd see everything else follow, because Anthony Davis will do what he does. His jumpers will either fall or they won't. And then everybody else, just kind of gets their buckets in the course of the game. So that's how I see it going the Mavericks' way if it were to.
Last thing real quick, Kirk. You mentioned Anthony Davis's jump shots falling, and I admittedly I'm not locked into 48 minutes of Mavs basketball every night, But the bits I did watch, it did feel like he was taking more jumpers than usual. Is that just anecdotal and it just?
Oh
happened to
no,
be the most watched,
I
or
think
did he
his
problem?
dirty secret as a player since like 2020, if we're being candid, is the fact that when his jump shot is going, he looks like a top 5 player on earth. When his jump shot is not going, he looks like, probably top 25 because he's still very he's the impact is still there defensively. When the jump shot goes, that allows his drives to get going. When he forces action to the rim, he looks awkward. He'll make some shot attempts where it's like his shoulders aren't square or doing anything on the drive, and it looks like he's baiting for the foul. And that's just not his game. He's a skillful player, but when the skill isn't necessarily translating to baskets, his game slowly tightens up and he becomes a disaster.
Oof. All right. Well, looking forward to the game tonight. Thanks, Kirk, for hopping on with us, man. Keep doing great work at Mavs Moneyball. Keep doing great work at Pod Maverick, Dallas Mavericks podcast. And we'll hope to talk to you soon, man.
Have a good day, guys.
See you, Kirk. Thanks.
Good luck tonight.
Kirk Henderson, Mavs Moneyball. One of the best. I'm dead serious, too. I didn't just say that because he was here. He's gone. He's not even in the backstage area anymore.
Yeah.
If you're going to follow one person who does the Mavs stuff, make it Kirk.
All right.
He's very, very good. He's written some really scathing stuff about Nico Harrison, too.
Oh.
It's very, very good. He's awesome. Doesn't sound super optimistic about tonight.
No.
Let's get to Joe. I want to talk about your friend's Glizzy quest last night. Pause. But we got to get to the Elk Grove Kia talk line first because our guy Mitch has been waiting for a very long time. Mitch, that's my fault. I apologize. It's Mitch in New Jersey. Time for everybody's favorite segment. Mitch, you do not talk over me, sir. Allow me to finish your introduction, and then you may talk. It's everybody's favorite radio segment. It's Mitch in New Jersey. Hello, Mitch. Now you go.
How's it going, Kyle James? My daughter's giving me the job of getting our car a little fixed, minor thing. It's one of these keyless cars. I never driven one of these. I hope I'm not ruining something.
Now you're doing great.
And I hope the chat room, you're going to be like, you're going to roast me. Let's make it worth my while to read. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Just make me laugh. Just all laughter is all great. Doesn't hurt anybody. I didn't think it was such a bad trade. I know you don't trade a generation guy, but they did get Davis, Cam, Christie, and I didn't realize that first round pick was so long. That was a better haul than what we got for Fox. You got to admit that. And I hope the home team wins. Kings got small shooting guards, small forwards better take over the game. But say Luka wins it all for the Lakers and somehow the Rams win it all too. You'll have a Luka and a Puka with a championship in LA in the same year, pretty much. I'm no Eminem or Lamar or any other rapper, but you know where they can take this. They can come out with some good material. If a Luka and a Puka come with a championship this coming season.
Thanks, Mitch. Appreciate the call.
There it is.
The Luka Puka punchline made it all worth it. Awesome. Did your friend wind up? So if you guys missed it yesterday, our guy Joe Brazil, we're going to step aside here in a second, but Joe, you went to the River Cats game last night at Sutter Health Park. Front row, Joe, you and your buddy. It's $2 hot dog night. Your buddy went on a mission to eat 7 hot dogs.
That is correct.
I was on pins and needles.
So was I.
Did he accomplish this feat?
Should we wait until we get back, or do you want to just go right into it?
Sure. Yeah. Good tease. Did Joe's friend eat 7 hot dogs? We'll tell you next on the Insiders on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader.
Mute the mics. Mute the mics for 1 second. All right.
All right, we're back.
We're back.
Oh, that's a long break. 4 minutes. Stay with me. I wanted to shout out Yogi Ferrell as well. The original chant name
Of course.
from Scotland.
Yogi.
Everybody says
Pharaoh.
Yeah,
I got
it.
yeah. Shout out to Yogi. Mavs and Kings legend. Will he be in the building tonight? We'll see.
His career just ended. Just like nobody wanted him anymore.
So, all right. So, Michigan, Chad, Brian, whatever your name is, Derek. I've been to Dodger Stadium. I had a Dodger dog. I was underwhelmed.
Wow. Surprise, surprise.
It was fine. Like, it was fine. It wasn't actively bad, but I couldn't outside of the boy. How do I dance around this? How
Oh,
do I
man,
talk around
yeah.
this? Outside of the outside of the parameters of the hot dog, outside of the
Oh no.
measurements of the hot dog,
Yeah.
outside of that, I couldn't tell any day. I didn't think it was a spectacular thing. It was fine.
It is Wiener
I'm-
Wednesday.
I'm glad I had one.
My lord, it is.
Are the
Wiener
Johns out there? I don't want to say grabbing
Hey, John, JC,
grabbing chili dogs.
are you guys gonna go down to Wiener Schnitzel and grab some wieners for Wiener Wednesday? No.
It's $1 for a chili dog on Wiener Wednesday, just so people know. So
We had Donut Friday that James and I started.
yes,
That got moved to Thursday because our sales staff works from home on Fridays. So we do Donut Fridays on Thursdays.
Yep.
The official title. And then John and JC, our favorite buddy cop tandem who works together in sales,
yep.
they started Wiener Wednesday, where they go to Wiener Schnitzel and take advantage of this deal.
They
that
just
James
smack a
has.
20 down and get 20 chili dogs
And they
and
just-
bring them back to the office.
And they don't like distribute them. They just throw them on the counter and they're like, here.
They just line them up. There's like a big stack. Yes. This is in fact what happens.
Yep. 1,000%.
Uh,
No comment, Dave.
yeah.
Ooh, starting a Taco Tuesday might be fun.
Yeah, but then we're gonna have to pay for it.
You know, I
That's a
can.
good point.
I can maybe. Would Jack in the Box tacos pass?
Yeah, that would play.
I
Are
could
they
do
like
that.
2 for
I could do
90
that.
cents? They
Hey,
used to be.
DoorDash them out Alberto's again.
Oh,
Might be a breakfast burrito day again soon.
yeah. Maybe Friday. Oh.
I'm not even asking if Joe wants anything though.
Oh.
Unless you would
Absolutely
like
not.
a lunch item delivered.
Yeah.
That'll play. We'll do that.
Why did he
maybe.
not eat?
It's possible.
No, he doesn't eat breakfast. Remember we had that whole thing? You had to cut the burrito in half, and then that burrito was still in the fridge on Monday.
I was hoping you wouldn't see that.
I
Dang it.
absolutely
Oh.
I
saw
was
it.
really hoping. I did.
Doggone it.
Okay.
It's not on me. That's for James.
I know. I was
James
hoping either of you
burrito.
guys. I was thinking on Saturday. I was like, oh, I left the burrito in there, and they're gonna see it.
Oh, no,
I
we're coming
ate
back.
some of it
We'll
though.
come back.
I promise.
You ready?
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, James Ham, Kyle Madsen, Joe Brazil, and Kenny Caraway from D-Lo and KC is here
Yes,
for
sir.
the
Yes, sir.
handout.
Yes,
Kenny
sir.
Caraway, everybody.
What's going on, everybody? We don't have the,
That was loud,
I
sorry.
like the horns. Man. I mean, I don't have the horns, but
Oh, yeah, you
um,
don't.
we don't have the intro song anymore.
I mean,
I mean, we don't. We don't.
all
have
right,
to.
here we
I
go.
just-
You're not going to have headphones. Here you go. Hang on.
It's time now for the handoff. Taking the handoff from James and Kyle today, here's KC, Kenny Caraway.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go, boy. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Kings Mavs tonight.
Yeah, man.
I trust you, your basketball knowledge, and your ability to talk hoops to go through this bit on the fly. I did
Okay.
not text you about this.
No, sir.
James and I prepped for this. You did not, but I fully trust you to roll with it.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Keys to victory tonight for the Sacramento Kings.
Oh,
Number
well,
one. Hang on. We got to.
ding.
Oh, where'd my. Oh, there we go. Hang on. Number one.
There we go.
Kenny Caraway, lead us off.
Take care of the basketball.
That's a big one. That was
Take care
that
of
was
the
key number
basketball.
3 for me. So I'm going to move that up. Key number 1 for me. Also, don't turn it over.
And when they, I don't know if the numbers bear this out. Will Z or Will that used to work in tickets.
Any
could
person
answer
named
this for me.
any person named Will.
Yeah.
If you can answer this question, what's the question?
I don't know what the record is when they have 12 or less turnovers, but I'm sure it's pretty good. I say 12 because is that about an average game? Like a great game is somebody having 7 turnovers or a team having 7 turnovers.
Yeah.
But
12
average
is
is
like a
about-
league leader, right around
Yeah.
12,
How many?
12 and a half.
So what's the number we're looking for?
12 or less.
12 or
turnovers.
fewer?
It's got to be a great record.
Like a clean game.
Yeah.
And if you're at 12 or 13 or even 14, a lot of those came when the game's out of control.
When the Kings have 12 or fewer turnovers, they have done that 39 times. Well,
Oh, they stink, huh?
sorry, Kenny.
Well, throw the ball all around the Golden One Center.
They
man.
are 18 and 21. When they have
What?
12 or fewer
That's
turnovers.
crazy. That's a trip. I'm shocked by that.
I am too.
Do you know what's so funny? You guys were talking about this yesterday on D'Lo and Casey. You said something. Oh, it was the stat that you asked some random guy named Will to
Yeah.
look up.
Yeah. Shout out to
It
my
was
man,
that stat. And it turned out it was DeMar DeRozan shoots at 18 or more times. And they were
Will.
19 and 17. Every stat you look up for the Kings says they're about
500.
every single one.
That's right.
No matter what way you slice it, this team is
That's right.
this
Yeah.
team might beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland, or they might lose to the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, man. And my only hope is they don't lose to the Dallas Mavericks
You can't lose.
and the Memphis Grizzlies. But I just
Not
think,
turning it over is big though.
Not-
I that's a way to let a worse team stay in or get back into a game is by live ball turnovers, fast break points.
Mhm.
Yeah, not turning the ball over. And with this particular team, this Mavericks team in particular, if you can, and this is a struggle for these guys, but if you
Mhm.
can defend the 3-point shot well and not let them beat you from beyond the arc, it feels like that's the way that they're going to be able to beat you. If Clay has 6 3-pointers, Spencer Dinwiddie is hitting 3 or 4, PJ Washington giving you 2, 3, or 4, and then Najee Marshall. Like if they're hitting their 3-pointers, you might be in for a long night. But if you can keep them to a situation where they've got to just hit a bunch of 2s
Mhm.
and have this super high percentage from
Mhm.
inside the 3-point line to beat you, I don't think they can beat the Kings that way. I think the Kings will hit enough 3s that it'll make it difficult for them to be able to beat them if they're not matching them 3 for 3.
Was that your second key?
Yes.
Okay, well, James, we need key number 1 from you still.
My key is set the physicality for the game early.
Oh, I already did that.
Like
Sorry.
show up, start pushing people around early on and say, this is the playoffs.
Yes.
This is what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, then go ahead and leave now.
Mhm.
And
And see,
the Kings can do that.
and see, frankly, if you can get Dallas to check out early.
Mhm.
If they're one of those teams, and they may not, Jason Kidd may have them all row in the same direction,
Yeah.
and they're going to try and overcome all this outside noise. Maybe they get into that space, but it would not shock me at all if the Kings come out and deliver the first punch. At the Mavs are like, "Hey, we got vacations booked.
I could.
We're out of here."
Well,
I
hell,
think that's a good
Nico
key.
done already gave the exit interview.
Jeez, Louise,
Wild.
man.
So, like,
Wild.
why'd he do that?
I like that key from James. And then
Yeah.
James, what is key number 2 for you?
Key number 2, win the battle of the 2 teams without point guards.
I think they're in a good spot to do so.
Yeah, because I think the Kings have more versatility in the players that they will play to have somebody that has 8 to 10 assists, like, or multiple players have, 7 to 9 assists. Like they've got 3 or 4 guys that can get there, where I don't think Dallas really has that. Like their offense should be really sticky and not fun to watch. Like it's a bunch of big dudes.
So our guest Kirk Henderson was like, "It's not going to be pretty."
Nope.
he was
Grimy.
very real.
You know my third. I don't know if you can even ask.
Can I do my second one first?
No.
For sure.
There's
There you
yeah,
go.
that's how we- no,
Absolutely.
you're so good at this bit that you're just
Tap
ready to go. This is incredible.
Tap out.
Number 2 for me, got to do the little things.
Yep.
Get the loose ball, get that extra offensive rebound, make the extra pass, those little things on the margins that Devin Carter does so well, that Keegan Murray does so well, Trey Lyles does so well. You need to do those little things tonight against Dallas. Kenny Caraway, key number 3.
Key number 3. I love this guy. That's my man's.
Oh,
But
just
you know,
say it.
But,
say it.
But
I
you know, I'm about to be critical. This is my man.
Yes.
Domantas Sabonis. You cannot let the Kings lose this game. If you're everything that we have been talking about for the past 3 years, we get mad when you're not on All NBA or All Star or you're a $40 million guy, going to be $43 million, all this other stuff. I don't want to hear anything if you're that guy.
That's it.
I don't want to hear this person didn't let you do this and that. I don't want to hear that. If you're everything that we, myself included, have been saying you are for the past 2 to 3 years, you do not let your team lose at home to this Mavericks team with your season on the line.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Domantas Sabonis, find a way with your play, with your words, with your actions to get a win tonight for your team.
I have nothing else to add. That was my final key as well.
He just
Domas has
stole
gotta
yours. I
dominate.
think he was cheating off your paper.
He's just got the rundown
I got
over
a
there.
mirror. I got a mirror over here.
Don't turn it
Yeah,
over.
Domas got to dominate.
Let Domas dominate and the little things. Casey just out there just stealing his
But
stuff.
I mean, this don't, like I said,
It's pretty straightforward. But that just says it's pretty straightforward with the Kings.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of room for creativity here. When they're good, it's a very specific way, and when they're bad, it's a very specific thing.
Yep, I agree.
What's number 3 for you, James?
Get the crowd involved early.
Please.
Just get them involved. Like if you
Please.
can crank it up in there, like they can bring you home.
Yep.
So
it's gonna be
And again, might get Dallas to check out early.
It's gonna be a whiteout. I heard whiteout tonight.
I don't.
Everybody getting white shirts?
Somebody in the chat brought this up, and it's a great point. Why do they do this? The Mavericks are going to wear white.
I don't think they. Well, so
unless the Kings are wearing white
on the court vision, the NBA court vision, it said the Kings were wearing black. Last night, somebody that works for the Kings, like it's not a secret. It's this young lady on Twitter who's like a ticket seller or something.
Okay.
She said, "Hey, bring the noise. It's going to be white shirts in every seat. It's going to be a whiteout. The team's going to be wearing white."
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe court vision got it wrong, but I saw the same
If
thing.
They wear white, then this all makes sense.
Okay.
this is what it looks like.
But
right here.
in that playoff series, Golden State's wearing white and the Kings are wearing purple or black or whatever, and the fans are all wearing white. What are you doing?
Well,
That doesn't make sense to me.
I could see a way in which you go to throw a ball to somebody and you see just a bunch of white and you're like, oh, wait, that wasn't my teammate. That was one of 3,000 fans in that section right there.
That's what happened when Jordan Poole turned the ball over.
You're right.
That's what happened.
That was the problem. Like, God, I just couldn't tell.
Shout out to my boy Jordan Poole.
He had a good year.
He did.
He had a nice
I'm
little year.
happy to
Shout
see
out to
that
Jordan
for him.
Poole.
Hopefully it translates into winning soon.
Well,
Well,
we'll see.
Let's not get
That
ahead of ourselves.
I'm less optimistic.
Let's not get
I'm
ahead
less
of ourselves.
optimistic about that. I want to be optimistic tonight. I so badly want to. I think they're going to win.
I do too.
I think it's going to be close though.
I can
Probably
believe that.
closer than we think. Because in my brain, my knee-jerk reaction, just knowing the bad vibes at the Mavs, is like Kings are going to roll.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
can't. I think it's like a 7-point win where it's close late, and then maybe they get some free throws
Yeah.
and wind up winning by like 7.
You just don't know with this group.
You have
You
no
just
idea.
Don't know. I lean back on if the Kings play their A game and this version of the Mavs plays their A game, the Kings should win.
I agree. I'm right there.
There it is.
We'll see.
Right there with you. We good? Everyone said everything they need to
We're
say.
good. We're all going
Right.
to see each other in a little while out
Yes,
the.
indeed. Yes,
Yeah, we'll
indeed.
see
The whole-
you out at
the whole
Golden One
crew.
Center.
Yeah, ESPN 1320 field trip. Let's go.
It's gonna be great.
Let's do this.
Out of Golden One Center. We will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. breaking down Kings Mavs win or lose. Can't wait to do that with you right here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. For James Ham and Joe Brazil, I'm Kyle Madsen. We've been the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. And until tomorrow at 10 a.m., drink water, be nice people. See ya. Hey, Chatty.